3 days after my new neighbor moved in, she called the cops on me, said my farm was a public nuisance. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in front of the county council defending my family's land while she stood there smirking, thinking she'd buried me. What she didn't know is I'd already dug her legal grave. I'm Lucas Grant. I own a small eco-farm just outside of Elmwood, Oregon. It's not big, but it's been in my family for 3 generations. My dad left it to me, and for the past 10 years, I've poured everything into turning it sustainable. Wind-powered, pesticide-free, chickens for pest control, crop rotation, the whole deal. The local schools bring their kids by to learn where food comes from. I donate to the food bank. I'm not trying to be a hero, just doing my part, you know? For the longest time, this place was peaceful. My nearest neighbors were family friends, people who grew up alongside the rhythms of the land. But when old Mrs. Jennings moved out after her husband passed, everything changed. Her house got bought by some 30-something woman from the city. Sharp haircut, Lexus SUV, the kind who wears yoga pants but never sweats. Her name, Karen, of course, 3 days after the moving truck left, I get a knock on my door. Karen. Arms folded, face tight. "Hi, I just moved in next door and, well, there's a lot of noise coming from your property." I blinked. Noise? She said the wind turbine made her feel anxious. The chickens were disruptive to her meditation practice. The harvester? Sounded like a war zone. I tried to stay polite, explained I only run equipment during the day, the turbine powers everything, and the chickens. Well, they're chickens. Then she goes, "Can't you just take it all down or soundproof the farm?" I actually laughed. Not to mock her, I swear. I just couldn't believe someone would move next to a farm and then be surprised it sounded like a farm. She left with a huff and a "so much for having considerate neighbors." And I thought that was the end of it. Next morning, 2 sheriff deputies show up. "Morning, Mr. Grant. Got a noise complaint, just routine." They were polite, even friendly. I walked them around, showed them where the turbine sat, far off on the back field, completely legal. The chickens, the equipment shed, even the feeding schedule. They said they do ambient noise readings over the week and let me know. I didn't change a thing. A week later, the county sends me an official report. My farm was well within limits. Case closed, or so I thought. 2 weeks later, Karen shows up at my porch again, this time not even pretending to be nice. "I just wanted to give you a heads up," she said, real smug. "I've filed a formal complaint with the county." I raised an eyebrow. "About what exactly?" "Oh, I've spoken to several neighbors. That turbine is outrageous. You can't possibly need something that big on a farm this size." I crossed my arms. Actually, the turbine was sized by the installation company based on acreage and energy demand. I didn't pick it out of a catalog. She waved her hand. "Whatever. I'm giving you the courtesy to shut this down before the county does." Now, I'm not proud of this, but I lost it a little. "Sure, I'll just dismantle my entire infrastructure by lunchtime. Sound good?" She blinked, clearly not expecting me to talk back, and stomped off. That night, I didn't sleep. I knew she wasn't done. I knew the complaint wasn't her endgame. It was just her opening move. And that's when I called my attorney. We spent 2 months digging. Every deed, every zoning permit from my grandfather's time. The turbine installation plans. My pesticide-free certifications. I wasn't just defending myself. I was building a wall she'd never climb. Turns out, under Oregon's Right to Farm Act, I had more protections than she realized. Any complaint about standard farming activity had to go through the county agricultural board, not straight to the council. Her complaint? Technically void, but I didn't stop there. I filed my own complaint. Harassment. Patterned, documented, disruptive. The council scheduled a formal hearing, and I waited. 4 months after she moved in, we sat in that municipal meeting hall. The room was packed. Neighbors, local reporters, council members in folding chairs. Karen stood at the front with a stack of emails and printouts, trying to make it look like she had an army behind her. I stood there with a binder thick as a brick and the law on my side. When my name was called, I walked up slow, let the silence build. "I'm not here to argue," I said. "I'm here to clarify." And then I laid it all out. The zoning permissions, the energy reports, the acoustic studies, the environmental certifications, and the county sheriff's own measurements. All legal, all traceable, all public. Karen tried to cut in, said I was aggressive, unneighborly, but the council cut her off. One member actually said, "You moved next to a farm. Farms make noise." That's when I pulled out the final card. A written statement from the county AG board dismissing her complaint due to improper procedure and lack of evidence. She went pale. The council ruled in my favor, rejected every one of her filings, warned that further complaints without basis could be considered targeted harassment. I didn't say a word as I packed up my binder, but before I left, I looked at Karen, just long enough for her to feel it. And in that moment, I could see it. The mask cracked. She didn't think I'd fight. She thought I'd fold. She thought the city slicker would win against the farmer with dirt under his nails. Not today. So who was really in the wrong here?